Hello. Welcome to Hate to Break It to You, Worlds on Fire edition, literally. Unfortunately. I did this podcast 2 days ago. The audio didn't record. Then I did it again and I forgot to push play. So I was like, that's the universe's way of telling me do it correctly. So I'm here again. It's Sunday night. It's been an insane week here in Los Angeles. I haven't been posting on my social media because there's nothing to post. I've been posting in my story updates and stuff, but I'm not going to post anything other than what's going on. There's a lot to say, a lot to go through. It's terrible. It's it's incomprehensible. It's just, And before I go into it, I just want to say that I wish my deepest condolences to everybody who lost someone or something in this fire. This is the worst fire in the history of the state. I believe. At least in this city. I'm not sure. Maybe not San Francisco. I'm not sure. But it's the worst fire, I think, in Los Angeles history. And, yeah. There's just places that are gone that are just completely, iconic. I'm going to wing a lot of what I'm talking about, but I made a lot of notes because I was like, I got to be really including of a lot of things. And there's just places that we all know, it's part of pop culture lexicon, been there for 50, 60 years. And they're just gone. They're not like gone. They're like annihilated. Like, it's insane. It's sad. It's angering. It's terrible. It's awful. I can't, put enough words together to describe how it is. And what's going on to everybody in the beach communities is just, it's just so, they have it so bad. I mean, the whole city has PTSD right now, but obviously it's, it's Malibu, it's Palisades, it's Altadena, it's Silmar, it's Studio City, it's Sunset Fire. I think there's some up the 101 by West Hills. And one of my career-defining moments has to do with Malibu. This city is, a legendary place on planet Earth. It's one of the most iconic places in the world. You can just say it, and everyone knows what it is. And so, I don't live there, but I spent a lot of time there, and then obviously doing the movie there, and then being associated with it so much, and why, I did that movie. The movie is like, it's such a pristine place. That's what made one of the reasons the movie worked, is because it was such a place of opulence and privilege, and it's just destroyed. It's just gone. Like, there's obviously some places that are still there, but there's just, There's a whole stretch of PCH of just iconic places, from the Real Inn to Moon Shadows, like Rosenthal Wine. I forget how to say it, but the Chocholo Thai, I think, and just tons of houses, and then all over in the hill. It's not just, and it's people of all types. It's people that are extremely wealthy, and it's people that are of modest means. I don't think people realize that Malibu, and the Palisades, and there's a lot of people that are locals there that grew up there and have properties for a long time. There's little trailer communities out there. There's big mansions. There's everything. This is my home, and this area, and LA is, for everybody who's here, it's our home. And I can't imagine what those people are going through. But we have, we all have. I mean, we've all been on edge this week. Obviously, not like the communities that are directly affected, but I'm tired. Everyone's tired. We're watching this the whole time, watching all these fires. Watching the wind, looking at the news, the app, seeing what's going on. And then we were getting the evacuation alerts, and then we were like, wait, that doesn't seem like it's this close. And then they would say, oh, ignore that. They would send out an alert, and then and then we get another one. So then that was like, and then like you'd go to your bed at around 2:30, and then it would kick up again, and then you'd call your friend or your sister or someone and be like, hey, it's coming. So it's like everybody has been like checking in with everybody, and which has been amazing. And are you, you might want to get out of there, and because watching it, and the fire crews have been, straight up superheroes. Like, Marvel, make the next movie about real life heroes. Straight up. Just make the Firefighters. I'm dead serious. Marvel presents the Firefighters. That's it, dude. Like, Kevin, get on it. Because this was reality. This wasn't escapism. And at one point, these blazes were so insane. And I was talking to my buddy Stu, and he's like, Jesus Christ, how did the copters look this big? And there's 9 of them. And it looked like something out of Marvel. It looked like something out of a Michael Bay movie, like a force that is just so inhuman that how could you even fight this? And these copters were just gathering in the plane. And my buddy Stu was like, dude, we need Dr. Freeze. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, we need someone to, because it was, at one point it looked, with the smoke and the flare-ups, and then there was the tornadoes, the fire tornadoes, and I'm like, this is like, dude, this is gonna sweep, thank God. As horrific as everything has been, thank God the winds weren't crazy that day when the West Hills kicked up, because it would have continued the destruction in the path that it was taking from Palisades and Malibu. And I mean, and we were like, how is this even going to be put out? Like, or West Hills, Topanga, I'm sorry, right around that area, wherever it blazed up again 2 nights ago. And we were like, somebody needs to like, I mean, those guys came in, man, and they just kept bombing it. And it was incredible. So that's, the beginning of what I'm going to talk about, and what I've talked about. That's my opening of what this is. And again, I don't have anything to. I'm very fortunate. We had the Sunset Fire right here, which kind of popped up out of nowhere, which I'm going to get to. But when that happened and started a little bit, and I was like, okay, what the. And the winds were a little not crazy, and then all of a sudden, and the next thing you know, that whole top of that mountain was like by Runyon, right? And I'm like, oh, what the? And I'm not close. I'm a few blocks away, and I wasn't worried at all about the flames. But I was it hit at 5:30, like at rush hour. A day after, everybody's all on edge. Everybody's like, what's going on? Now it's like hitting here. Now it's hitting there. It's whack-a-mole. And I'm like, and the streets were starting to get packed and people were honking. And I'm like, it's not the fire. It's not the traffic. It's the smoke. So, like, if that wind shifts and that smoke comes, everybody's going to have to bounce. And how are you going to do that when everyone's like, I'm looking at a bird scooter with me and my chick, and I'm like, we're both get on a bird if it gets weird and scoot as far as we can, like towards Palm Springs, like, because I was never in any immediate danger, but I do, I think of scenarios 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, and Hollywood was a little kooky at that point. So I can't even imagine what the people went through in the Palisades trying to get down the hill. And I was going to tweet and different things, and, everybody has a lot of opinions, theories, takes. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to, like, do peace. I'm trying to be respectful, and then I'll go into it, but it's awful. It's tragic. And you can say, this is a tragedy. It's what happens, these natural tragedies happen. And that's where I begin. Because was it perfect conditions for a once-in-a-lifetime calamity? Were the winds some of the highest we've ever seen with Santa Anas? Yes. But we've had them before. Was it drier on record than it's been for a moment? Yes, it has been. Okay. Did we have a fire crew that was working tirelessly, but, outmanned? Yes, we did. Did we have the ability to use air support in a lot of places the first day? It was ready, but the conditions and the wind were so bad you couldn't do it. Okay. But the hydrants didn't have water. And the mayor was on a trip to Ghana. Ghana? Let me tell you something, Mayor. You're gonna have to get on a plane and gonna have to get back here because we got a lot going on and we gonna need your help. Listen, I've been to Africa 3, 4 times. You go to Joburg if you're going to do business with Parliament. You go to Cape Town if you're shooting something and it's rich and you want to escape. You go to Botswana if you want to take a trip and see some safaris. You go to Mozambique if you want to glamp and then get into the bush a little bit and really see some wild animals. But Ghana? Like, what's in Ghana? A sister city to LA? Like, what are we doing? Why are we in Ghana? And then I read that she was visiting another leader who was the first female something in something. Okay, I guess. Were we doing an exchange program? I'm just saying, it's like there's a lot of places. That's like seems like the farthest place you could be and pretty obscure. I know Africans that have never been to Ghana. All right. Are we doing a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new Chipotle over there? Like, what are we doing? So that's when it starts getting weird, right? And then we had the no-fly zone. So even if the conditions weren't as bad, I'm sure our boys would have attempted something if they could, but we couldn't do it anyway because there was a no-fly zone restriction issued by the White House on the day that this was all popping off because Biden was in town and no one saw him for a minute. And when we first saw him, he said, hey, I'm a great-grandfather, man. I tell you about I was a great-grandfather. Hey, man.
The good news is I'm a great-grandfather as of today.
And then homeboy, American Psycho, is standing right there, taking a perfect shot, looking at the flames, going. So we got terrible winds, dry conditions. It's the season, no water. The mayor's a goner. The president couldn't postpone his trip for a day, and Slick Willie's sitting on the PCH in the aviators. If it's fire season, wouldn't you push the day back, Mr. President, just in case? Or at least do it, land somewhere in Bakersfield and come in? Like, let's do an hour out. How much air zone do we need to restrict? Like, land, in Joshua Tree and have so much air support and ground support. It's one road. Go up to the Morongo and come in through there. I know it's a long drive, but... Or can we just wait till Thursday? That's easier. Just wait till Thursday. So let me tell you, I'm driving on Wednesday morning, okay? I'm going up the 101 where, you see this because there's a lot of fire. I'm going to Burbank, all right? And all of a sudden at about 12:15, I hear, and it's these beautiful, I'm talking the most high-tech aircraft I've seen, not stealth bombers. These looked like very big drones, and they had that turbine with no noise, and it was like, and they just went right over Barham and the 101. Those in LA know, and they were not high. And I'm like, what the? And I'm like trying to get a camera, and I'm like this. My phone's plugged in, and my button wasn't hitting, and it was 2, and then 2. By the time I got it out, they were gone. They were donezo. They were over the mountain. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's it. This is it. This is disclosure happening. And then I'm like, well, maybe they were drones because they kind of looked so high tech, but I'm like, they could be ours. Or maybe they're a firefighting drone. But they were going kind of towards Altadena. So possibly they were. And then I saw 2 humongous helicopters, like those presidential kind of the double barrels, and they were going. So I'm like, I think that's Biden. But I don't know, because the roads were open. Shouldn't the roads be closed off when they fly over you? Is that legal, like, to have that? Or I don't know. So I thought it was him. And there wasn't a ton of planes in front of him, so I don't know. It wasn't a plane. It was those big copters. But I don't think it said the SEAL. But then I'm like, where are they going? Burbank? Because that's fire over there. And then I'm like, maybe they're going to Van Nuys. I don't know. So maybe it was firefighting things. But then when I saw them, I was like, whoa, this is on, okay? But I started this pod to give respect to those who have lost. And when we get into situations like this, we have to start digging up things, and it's uncomfortable, but it has to be dug up because there's so much smoke, and I don't mean that as a pun, around all this shit. And and I know, shit, the cashier at Target knows, all right? This is why they want to ban TikTok. They don't want to ban it because of Chinese information. Do not. Oh, it's a Chinese spy app. Sure, definitely. Oh, they're making you dumber. Why they're using great videos to train people. Sure, definitely. China already has your information. If you don't think Google and Meta and X, I use them all. If you don't think all of that shit, and Apple has sold your shit, if you don't think China knows your shit, I got to introduce you to the Easter Bunny. Okay? It's not hard to find out anything about anyone. Between China, forget that. Russian hackers, if China didn't do it, could beat anybody to the punch and then sell it to China. So, yeah, you could try to be as secure as you can, But I think everyone has much information. They could be recording everything right when you're in your camera on your phone, which they say they do, and just selling that shit, sending it, whatever. They don't want us to have TikTok, even though TikTok is very dicey in terms of how suppressive they are. They're actually more suppressive of information than Instagram, in my opinion, because I've gotten so many. They'll stop a video mid-video. And I can talk shit about our country and they'll still stop it. So it's not about China. They don't want us because it's a peer-to-peer app that everyone uses, and the mom from Iowa uses, and the celebrity from, Beverly Hills uses, and the hipster from Brooklyn uses, and the farmer from Kansas uses, and we all can connect, and we all can share, and everything on it is misinformation. And everything that is right is everything they tell you on the big box. Because on your little box, that's just all you guys getting together. And you don't know shit because, you guys aren't experts. Even though you're in the wild, we know what's up. We'll dictate all the information to you. So no, you don't know the little box. No, it's a bunch of, Yeah. You get information going back to different situations where they say it wasn't happening, and then people would send in videos of something happening, i.e., you know what? Let's just say the pets in Ohio. Everyone said, oh, none of that's true at all. None of it's true. Okay, and then locals would send videos. A local sent a video. He's racist. What? He's a filmist. Oh, that's AI. Everything's AI. I banged your mother. It was AI. That wasn't me. That was AI. That was AI. I'll give you one fire, and I'll give you 2 fires. But I'm not giving you 7 fires. I'm not. And I knew this shit from the get. But if you say the shit, you're transphobe. If you say anything about how the fire started. You're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm just using an example. Like you just label you something that's not whatever. And I don't give a fuck about who gets hired. I just want the most qualified person in any position, flying the plane, putting out fires, policing our streets, doing accounting. I don't care if you got 3 eyes and a 9-inch, a beautiful combo. I don't care. As long as you're good at what you do, I don't care. If I'm on the team of basketball, I don't give a if you're a 2-foot Taiwanese dude. If you can pass and you help the productivity of the team and you can shoot, you're on. I don't give a what you look like. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care. Everybody's welcome. We are all welcome here. We just want the skill sets. So I'm not going to get into that at the moment because, anybody, if there could be skill sets of different people, but apparently some skill sets were not being matched because of other things that were presented and taken above skill sets. That's what people are saying. I'm going off my head because I have a lot in my mind. And then I'll give you the Palisades and then I'll give you Malibu, okay? There to there. And then the third fire was Altadena. It was Altadena. So this fire started. Isn't it bizarre that they say, well, it's fire season. Today fire season starts at 6 a.m. and we just got to be careful because fires could start. And by 10:30 a.m. there was a fire. Literally, we got done Christmas break. Everybody came back. Tragedy in New Orleans. Tragedy in Vegas. What's on the docket this week? Fire. And literally, like they announced it was fire season. Isn't that odd? And then a fire happens? Let me ask you something. You ever smoke a cigarette? Don't do this. But you ever have it thrown in the leaves and shit? Drops? Has it ever torched up? And if it does, it's not as easy to torch up as you think. Don't try it. But a lit cigarette is not as easy. Okay? But if it does, don't you put it out? Can't you put it out right away and take a little water or something, or take dirt if you don't have it, or just stomp, stomp, stomp? Have you ever raked leaves and your buddy, I don't smoke, so your buddy smoke a cigarette or you smoke a joint and, oh shit, but have you ever burnt leaves? It takes a minute for them. I'm from the East Coast to torch up. I'll give you, and now we're seeing evidence that it was not. There was evidence that a guy, you're going to see it. There's multiple evidence. So a guy just smoking his cigarette. First they said it was a barbecue. Then they said it was an SA. Some people said it was a ritual that took place. And then the fire happened because that. I don't know where the proof is. I can put that link somewhere of somebody saying that. But okay, so it starts here, and then it goes there. Okay, but then the ember, take an ember, put it in the wind. Put a big ember in the wind. Put 2,500 embers in the wind. So that ember goes from the PCH and then flies over Topanga, goes down the 101, goes over to the 134, gets off, goes to the 210, doesn't land in Pasadena, doesn't stop in Burbank, doesn't stop in Toluca Lake, which has a lot of woods. It goes up the hill and into the perfectly wooded part of Altadena, where it begins to blaze. So what? It took a jet blue, and then from there, the ember goes, and it's like, damn, dude, I'm far. Let me go from there, and I'm going to go all the way up. I'm going to get an Uber and go all the way up to 118 to Sylmar. Then it comes back down, or the Palisades is cooking, and then another ember goes, yo, dude, I'm going to go. Let me run over here to Hollywood. So it flies all the way over PCH, Santa Monica, Culver City, West LA, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, and it goes all the way up to not anywhere other than the perfectly wooded area of Runyon. Now, of course, there's a lot of flats and there's a lot of buildings, but there's also a lot of vegetation in Beverly Hills. And there's a lot of vegetation in a lot of those places. There's whole communities that are very highly vegetated. And then that starts going up. Once I saw that hill go up, I already had multiple suspicions, which, I wasn't going to share publicly because for some reason people think, it's disrespectful. So, but once that hit Hollywood, once that hill went up, there's no doubt. There was no doubt before, but there was no doubt. This shit was an attack. And then that ember decides, I do believe that ember could fly over the hill and go to Studio City. That one makes sense. I'll give you Topanga to Studio City. I'll give you those 3-4 fires in there. But it took a perfectly little area of Studio City and just completely blazed, like straight up, like 2 or 3 houses that were just in flames, like anger burning. It was so bright. And these copters were incredible, man. They came in like Skynet, and they were just, and they drop, and you saw the beautiful drop it did on the Hollywood Hills. And then another one popped off in North Hollywood. They squashed that quickly. So what? Once that happened, even the most staunch, closed-minded people that I really like, that are just so like, oh no, come on, man, oh no. Even the most tight-minded people were texting me going, this is not normal. This is not normal. I'm like, yeah, dude, welcome to the party. Hop on in. The water's warm. That shit ain't natural. He's like, that shit ain't natural. Right now, Hollywood ain't natural. No shit. None of this is. But you're telling me the insurance companies stop insuring people or messing with the insurance a month before, and I believe it was 2.6 million in LA County that had their insurance either adjusted or taken away, which seems like all the beach communities or highly risky areas, and then 500 and I don't have them in front of me, 16,000 in Orange County. So I'm assuming that's Dana Point, which is, having issues with erosion, and La Jolla, which I hope is not having issues with, like all those areas that, might have erosion issues. I'm assuming that's what took the hit. So I just learned this yesterday from a real estate person. I'm going to give you that. I mean, there's so much to say. I'm going to do as much as I can until I get tired. Let's say you buy you do good in life, you do good in Hollywood, you become a successful actor or a writer or a showrunner, music agent, whatever. There's a lot of jobs. People say, what do these people do? The business generates so much money that you don't have to be famous. In fact, some of the most unfamous people are the most rich because they're behind the scenes doing a lot of deals. It's good to have a successful actor, but it's better to rep 10 of them and writers and all this shit. So let's say you get in, which is a modest rate at Palisades for $4 million, right? Because houses, anywhere from 4 to 80. Same with Malibu. And you get in, and over the last 15, say 20 years, your house is 4 times it. 5 times it. So your $4 million and you put some upgrades is now worth about $20 million. And you've had a nice run. You put some money down and you decided, you know what? I'm paying it off. Now, again, I'm not an insurance person. I'm not a real estate person, but I'm an intelligent person. And the fact that I have to say this stuff because they're not telling you is why I'm telling you, because they don't teach this shit in common sense school. Okay. So your house goes from 4 to 20 million, let's say. You pay it off. The law in California, and I'm sure a lot of other states, is that when you're on a mortgage, you have to have legally insurance. I guess that is to protect the buyer. You have to have one of the insurances in those areas. It's fire insurance if it's a high risk area. The minute you pay that off, it's not required to have insurance anymore. And companies can then say, okay, well, we don't want to insure you because you're paid off. We got through it together. Thank God, because we don't want to do that payout, and we're not going to insure you. And it's very few companies that will take that bet on a piece of asset that is there because it's a high risk. If it goes down, or they're going to gouge and go 5 to 6 times what it would have been. Or I'm not sure if it's that, but you'll pay a very high premium. So a lot of people are like, I paid it off. I have it. I have this asset. I'll take my chances. Some people will always have insurance, and I'm not sure exactly what the law, but they were literally, I'm not lying when I'm saying this, they literally stopped insurance or made it very difficult to get it in certain areas. And then a tragedy hits. A once-in-a-generation tragedy. Guess what? If your structure's gone, what you have is the land. So you're sitting on a nest egg that you thought was worth $20 million, and it might only be worth $5 million. Now you're going to go, well, it's better than the average person. Yeah, I don't care who you are. That's a 75% hit. Because a lot of people have most of their wealth in their house. They sleep in their wealth. That's a 75% net worth hit. Obviously, if you're a billionaire, it's different. But I'm just saying, that hits anyone's bottom line. Now, some people are going to have 2 and 3 houses, and it's terrible. But if they can afford to move on, they're fortunate. Other people have nothing. Other people are going to have to fight. So there's a different line. Now, an insurance guy told me that I'm kind of right, mostly right. But he said the people that are paid off will be the last in line. And instead of getting their money in 2 years, it might take 4. I'm not sure. I've been also told by other people that they're not going to get the full sum, or they have to prove the sum and all this stuff. And now, I don't want to jump the ship and come back, but let's go to arson, which no one wanted to talk about. But now it's popping up more and more arson. Oh, this is arson. Could be arson. Do you know? So all of these places are out with no insurance. They're naked. You finally did it, Let's say you're a guy who's 75 years old, like, James Woods. I don't know what he's worth, But he had a beautiful home. He's an amazing actor, worked 35 years, 40 years, paid his dues, had a beautiful house. Don't know how bad it's got done. I don't know what his net worth is, but if a lot of his nest egg is in that, a 78-year-old man, his life just got adjusted very, very intensely. So if it's arson, the laws and rules of what the payouts will be so different because there's a force majeure act of nature which you can't prevent. And it's like everybody, they're like, yeah, man, the fire started and it was just, we don't live in the state then. This is what you insure for. It's all a risk, but we cannot. The state is where we live and these things happen naturally. But if it's not, that affects so much payout and the nickel and diming that can come from the insurance company, and they can say, we're not responsible for this, that's a crime, all this shit. They're literally going to have to figure out fire lines and go, well, this one was here and then it stopped. No, we don't know. This one, the arsonist was caught here, so that might be responsible for this perimeter. And over there, this is the wind perimeter. Like all that shit. I'm not an insurance agent, and I know this. You know why? Because I watch informative videos. Isn't that odd that all of these policies are up and then some of the most precious land in the whole world was completely decimated, and a lot of people may not be able to claim what they thought they could for it, and now you have all of these naked people out of luck? Wouldn't that be interesting that a big corporation, like a few that we know, could just swoop in and possibly buy a lot of things for pennies on the dollar because people are so desperate? A lot of rumors about 2028. You can look that up. A lot of rumors about certain horrific scandals that have happened, that are happening in this town. And this was a way to basically take care of some clues and some evidence. If you know, you know. I mean, it depends on how deep down the rabbit hole you're willing to open your mind and what you believe, right? You can talk to different people and say what different things are. But this has Lahaina written all over it, straight up. What was Lahaina? Again, that's a town that was curated, inhabited, lived in by the locals for generations. One of the most luscious pieces of land that is so desirable, but you can't get your hands on it because they are literally grandfathered in. It's their land. And what do? Isn't it crazy that all these different things are happening just kind of at the same time? Isn't that weird? And God bless Lahaina. They're still waiting for their 750. We know Biden said the government's going to cover the costs for this fire, which I don't know what that means, but that's great for California. And I hope the government steps in. But what about Lahaina? North Carolina is literally still waiting for their checks. What about the people in Cincinnati who had the train spill? Like, let's help everyone. Isn't it interesting that the North Carolina horrific storm was one of the most densely populated places where they have a mineral that they need to make batteries? I mean, that's just a known fact. Lahaina also on the smart city grid. I'm saying this shit is sus. Isn't it weird that the reservoir, which was 117 million gallons, just happened to be empty? And if that wasn't enough, it was offline. So even if it was full, you couldn't get to it because the Wi-Fi was bad. They were still on AOL. And then if you did get to it, there's nothing in there. Isn't it interesting that there was a big-ass budget cut to the fire department? Isn't it interesting that Newsom said he did not know where $24 billion went in the budget? How the do you misplace $24 billion? Isn't it interesting that on the day after it started, hey man, I want to tell you about corn pop, sent Another 500 mil, his last payment to the actor in Ukraine. The guy's literally an actor. 500 million. Do you think we could have used that? Do you think the people on PCH in North Carolina and Lahaina could have possibly used that? Because I don't know. We sent it to you for what? To keep out big bad Russia? So we're not doing it. We're helping them buy stuff. Like the last payment before he gets out. Like what? Like the guy had a debt. Like he was paying him off like a bookie. If it happened in the Palisades in Malibu, it can happen anywhere. Last night there was a huge fire in the Bronx. Huge. People say it was reminiscent of the 90s where the Bronx was getting smoked out. And then they come in, buy it up, gentrify it, boom. So look, this is much deeper than just a horrific accident. This is an attack. This is agents of chaos. This is some natural elements mixed with incompetence, possibly planned messer-uppery, along with terrorists, potentially any organization that don't like us, mixed with mental health people that are just seeing a fire and then go, oh, fire, fire, like jumping on, and then mixed with mental midgets that are nutbags. This is a charcuterie board of, you understand? That's what this is. Why charcuterie board? Because you can't curse on the app. So it is a charcuterie board of congestive chaos, right? What do you got on your charcuterie board? You got a little salami, you got a little goat cheese, you got a little brie, you got some honeycombs, you got cranberries, you've got almonds, you've got walnuts, you take a little hot mustard, you put your prosciutto, well, you take some gale force winds and some dry area, and you put that on top of your empty fire hydrants, and you put that over there with your offline reservoirs and your no-fly zones for the politician president, and then mix that with your mayor and dip it in there who's out of the country. All this happening at the same time, and then put it in there with, the traditional term fire season, and then you take that and put it in with the insurance company, and then sprinkle a little embers on top and pour some nice honey to ignite it and really taste it good. And you have a bite. Okay, that's a bite. And that's what this is. That is not my opinion. That is my belief. A lot of things don't add up. And two all tied together. And I can't talk about anything. There's no reason for me to talk about a comedy show or an upcoming con or something. This is what I'm talking about because we are in just unprecedented times. We got the dude we got going in 10 days. They don't want his ass in there. The establishment, the people that run a lot of things do not want his ass in there. So I'm talking about it because I don't think we cannot not talk about it. How can you? I'm sure obviously if you're in another state, you might be disconnected from it. But anyone in LA, if they have a job, they're thinking of this. Whether they work at Paquito Mas, they're on a TV set, they're doing they work in that Jamba Juice, wherever. Everyone's thinking about this. Just stuff like this too. Like, look at all those people that were coming down. I want to say Sunset. Maybe Temescal, I'm not sure. They were coming down the hill, and I have never seen this in the history of fires. And the day before, the skies were like a waffle. You want to talk about chemtrails? My buddy shot the video. I hope he lets me use it, but it was crisscross. It looked like a tic-tac-toe board. And my buddy, who's very intelligent, said, why is this happening right now? And if it's fire season, would that be some sort of like repellent? And he's like, nah, man. This is like an accelerant. Because if you look at these fires, they didn't just burn, they were scorching. Now, did the winds help? Yes. But even when the less windy days, these things were burning so bright and so high. It was like voracious. And they were taking out structures like nothing. You got to ask, what's all the shit in the sky? Why was it done the day before? Why was it done by all those areas? Oh, so all the cars, they're going up that area, Sunset or Temescal, and all of a sudden, like 100 cars, they just stopped and they left their cars there because there was logjam. So I guess it makes sense that if you are stuck in that and the fire's coming and smoke's coming, you got to get out and you run. You get towards the beach, you just run. Hopefully there's a shuttle to take you far away. But they also said they were told by an officer or someone of authority, I'm not saying an officer, I'm saying someone of authority, to just abandon their vehicles. And they abandon their vehicles. So either this is gross incompetence. They abandon their vehicles. Some people leave the keys, some people don't. And they just run. Now, I don't know how close they were to the danger. But this guy's up there doing this and they're going this. And they leave them right in the road. So then the department's got to come in with this huge ass earth mover out of the blue and just start bulldozing cars. Because that's the same road that they got to go to get up. So leave them all right there on the only road where all the help and rescuers have to get through. Don't tell them to pull over on the side. And then there's all this stuff now with people posing as firefighters and police officers so they can loot. I'm saying, is that incompetence? Is that gross incompetence? Or is that something charcuterie? Don't even let me say the drones that have been here for a month and a half. They're going to say, well, the drones have been all over America, the world. LA is the only place burning. Well, no, I said there's a big fire in Brooklyn last night, the Bronx last night. And wait, what happens if other places start going torchy? We've already forgot about the drones. What the fuck were they doing in the sky for the last 60 days? So yeah, this shit's a times table and it doesn't add up. So I'm going to react to some things.
So today we're going to hit on the fires in California, and the sky's looking like this, and some weird things about it. So first we start with the unusual dryness. Well, that's because this cloud seeding program, which was augmenting rainfall, stopped.
So he's correct. That is real. Like I told you, that's the video of the crisscross clouds. Okay? But then people say, oh, they control the weather. That's crazy. No, there's programs and patents for weather manipulation. Let's just start with something so simple as cloud seeding to help activate rain. They do it in Saudi Arabia. They cloud seed, and they definitely do it in this country. And China had a whole weather making machine. Okay, so these aren't made up claims. Okay, so let's talk about it. See San Diego camera, they monitor the climate right there. The guy's on the side of the hill, whether he's a nut, whether he's an agent of chaos, or whether he is just a random person who maybe was fucking cooking a can of beans, which would be ill-advised. Something's going on at that time in that area on the side of that hill, and it ain't a cigarette butt. It's fire season. 4 hours later, there's a fire. Oh, now this is crazy. So let's see what the chief says. I believe this was the chief.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Chief Kristen Crowley, I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there. Had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you
Wow, she just kept pushing. Good for her. No, she wanted an answer, and the chief was trying to be as diplomatic as she could, but she didn't want to be dishonest. And she looks more frustrated than anyone because she knows what her department is capable of. And yet, she says, I didn't have the proper tools.
Gigi, if you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that.
Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't
What a noble idea. They go to the hydrant, they think there's going to be water.
water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever.
She's not in charge of the water. The fire guys aren't in charge of the water. That's another department. She's saying we're there to get it, and we'll take it once we got the water. They expect water to be there. It's when you go and you meet a wonderful, beautiful one-night stand on Hinge, and when you pull her pants down, you don't expect a 9.5 incher. Sorry, I have to throw some in. It's like when you get you expect a mouth. You don't expect an armpit.
Controls that part, but I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got.
And that's what they did right here. These guys went and got like Chanel or Hermes purses, and they took the reserves off the truck because there was little spots that were starting to pop off, and they were literally going and dumping it. Literally. Professional firefighters in one of the top 5 cities in the world are literally reduced to using women's purses and putting them, thank God they were good purses and they're waterproof, and dumping them. Insane and amazing.
Very dynamic situation.
And I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into.
Yeah, so basically there was also budget cuts, and because of that, they didn't have the manpower to go in. It's like when you go to a TGI Fridays and you want a table, there's a whole section open, and they're like, we're going to give you a table in 20 minutes. You're like, but that's open. They go, I ain't got the staff, dude. And you're like, okay. And you sit there and you're like, do I want jalapeno poppers or not? And you're like, okay. But you're like, what about, she goes, I ain't got the staff, dude. I got Julie and I got Sally. All right, that's it. You gotta have to wait. Okay. Because they have budget cuts because of the pandemic. TGA Friday is not responsible for putting out fires. I'll wait. That's okay. I don't need a cheese pull that bad. Okay? But the budget cuts here, why don't you take that shit from the salaries of the homeless program that really wasn't very utilized properly? People in the homeless program were paid like $250,000 a year for a homeless program, and I don't see any tiny homes anywhere. I just see more Colemans everywhere. And literally, to keep warm, what do those people do? It's an unfortunate situation for them, but let's be blunt. They take all the shrubs and the brush and they start fires. And it's not exactly old school like Philly where it was in Rocky where that's a real thing and they're over a trash can and they go, doo-doo-doo-doo, take me back. Hey, yo, Rock, doo-doo-doo-doo. Italians know how to do a controlled burn in a barrel. They ain't doing it over here under the 101. Sorry. Is that fireist? Am I a fireist?
And we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whomever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had,
DWP
they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue and to save people's lives and property. And
we know that. These guys did everything, and they saved the whole state. Even though we've had horrific destruction, they saved the rest of the state from going up. Literally. Like, if I know those guys wanted to fly in those terrible conditions, but they just literally couldn't. They literally couldn't because of the conditions, and also because there's no fly order, which somebody in the comments is going to have to give me some real education on this. Our boys would have gone out there in a blizzard because you saw what they did. They're incredible. But you got to have the tools. I'm not playing any kind of game right now of blame. I'm just pointing out the charcuterie.
That's the bottom line. Now let's get them what they need to do their jobs. And so
let's get them water,
Yes,
Chief,
Chief,
because I was with your firefighters, and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning.
She's right. She's right. Now, I don't know who this chief is. I thought there was another chief. This is a different chief because this chief is on it. She's awesome. And there was another chief that people are mad about. I don't know who's saying, if your guy got in a bad position, why do I have to carry him out? I don't know. There's two different chiefs, but they're both women, I guess. I don't know. So now you got that. And then we go into Christian Bale. We go into American Psycho again. And he's over there. Of course, CNN is... Here it is.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
I want to tell you this. Bill Gluckman would never. Why? Because California is my family. Seriously. We literally have a better representation of leadership in our beautiful state that my movie pops is than you. And who is a native California boy who lived in Malibu his whole life. You better believe he would be out there with a bucket and sand, and he'd still be smashing a shovel at this shit. God rest his soul. Literally. You have the chief who's over there, and then we've got the leader of this state going, that ain't me, bro. Hands up, like he's in the lunchroom, and you and your boy got caught stealing an extra hot dog, and the lunch lady's like, that you didn't pay for it. And he's like, that's local Larry. Local Larry did that. I didn't. Now look, bro, I'm gonna break this down for you real gently now. And I'm gonna break it down for everybody. Being the governor of this state, of any state, this is a big one. This is a small country. No, this is a big country. I believe our economy is in the top 10 in the world, just in the state. I believe people, 40 million, comprises a lot. I think it's a top 10 in a lot of categories, okay? So you're running a country, bro, okay? Now I'm going to start with a few things. You're in the public eye. Your job is horrific. You're going to catch shit no matter what. You say happy birthday, people are going to say, why did you not say happy Kwanzaa? Yeah, sure. There's always going to be criticism. But guess what? You're on CNN. I know you're probably it's so much going on. It's a crazy situation. You might not have slept for 48 hours. I get all that. You're on with Anderson Cooper. You're getting the briefing. He's not just rolling up on you. You say, give me a second. Let me gather my bearings. You got a team over there in case you can plan the question. Literally, he rolls up in front of you, in front of this horrific tableau, which I'm sure they framed up, and he asks you about the water. And you sell out, local. Now, I'm going to even more. I get it. You run a big-ass state. There's no way you could know the contents, let alone all hydrants and reservoirs in this great state of ours. You're not going to, you can't micromanage that. I get it. But, bro, we are in crises, okay? And you're literally selling local. But the common sense is this. You're the governor of the state of California. This is the home of innovation at the top and make-believe at the bottom, right? And literally, you're in the town of iconicness and literally a town of pretenders, fakers, dreamers, liars, actors. And you're a politician. And politicians, what's the first thing they teach you in politician class? You lie. Just lie, dude. Make us feel like you're in control. Lie. Just be like, yeah, you know what, dude? Anderson, this is a complete disaster. I have to sit with my team. I'm not sure about it. I guess there was some issues with the hydrants or the reservoir. I don't know. But I'm the leader of this state, and I have to get to the bottom of it. And right now, although I can't fix that, I have to fix the current issue. That's all I'm concerned on. It is terrible. Yes, it is. And not a perfect science. This is many moving parts, and it's terrible. This is terrible. But we have to fix what's going on now. So at this moment, we're trying to get this shit filled. We're trying to get the hydrants done. There's a lot of hydrants that do work. Just make us feel like you're in control, bro. I'm not saying lie, and then you go to the hydrants and they're filled with dust. It wasn't even that. It was just empty. But I'm saying, like, try to, like, give us some encouragement here. I get it. There's a lot going on. But just to go local, literally, dude, the hands up, bro. Who's advising you, bro? You're in a town of actors. Anyone can teach you how to be good at this shit. You are an actor. You're not a politician. You're an actor. You know that. Come on, bro. You're in a town of actors. Can't Larry, what's his name? Let's get my old teacher, Joanne Barron, over here. Body language. The first thing Joanne will say, you do this, it's like, that's a guilty body language. Just local. Like, dude, no. I get it, dude. But I don't get it, bro. It's just, and then, like, when you have someone like me trying to help the public understands some of the immense pressure that you're under, but, you know, people are dying and losing everything, so I'm sorry, that's the job. Then it doesn't help that you're going over here like this and then doing this, bro.
We've got to deal with this misinformation. There were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time. And you wonder where this stuff comes from. And it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done, to be here for folks, to focus, yes, on this mitigation, and then absolutely recovery in record time. With your support, we're going to be able to do that.
So wait, hurricane force winds, which we did have, which I believe a Cat 1, I think it went up to 70 or 75, which is a Cat 1, Cat 2, which is not good. Yeah, we had hurricane force winds for sure. But you didn't say that. You led with hurricane force winds of disinformation. Hey, bro, I know that the winds are in. Bro. Hey, bro. I know that it's really dry. Hey, bro. I know that we don't have water in the reservoir, and the Wi-Fi is not working, and the hydrants are empty, and my men are out staff, and I cut some budgets so we don't have people, and also some helicopter pilots are not here because they were let go because they didn't get the Jubiru. Do you know how many people texted me about 2 people that said my husband is a pilot that was not working because he got let go because he didn't get the Jubiru? Hey, bro, I know all that's going on, JoJo, but we got to stop this hurricane force. Let me make a cool allegory here. So I wet my glasses. Of a hurricane of not just disinformation, dis and miss. Let's cover all the informations, the dismiss, because it's hurting people, hurting lives, hurting this, hurting lawyers, hurting my friends, hurting my sponsors, hurting all the feelings of everybody that all the people are questioning. All the people are questioning us, and I don't like it, Daddy. Daddy, they're asking a lot of questions. I need you, JoJo. Jojo, get them out of here, man. Karen! 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 You don't think I have enough problems, Karen? You don't think I walk out every day, Karen? Those who know. Dude, me and Karen are standing here. Kamala's over there going, You know she had a jug in front of her. Look, by the way, 2 looters or supposed looters or burglars broke into her California home. The vice president, the VIP, like 2 nights ago during the worst nights because she is a resident of this state. They detained him for 2 hours and let her go. Let them go. What? They called them looters. They didn't find anything. They were trespassing on her premises, the vice president, and they let him go. Bro, they're stopping people down by Venice. If a dude so much as skateboards past Ocean Ave, the National Guard's like, what's up? If a dude does a kickflip anywhere near 8th and Ocean, they're like, yo, what's up? But 2 dudes with broomsticks and a pillowcase get on her premises and either break in and they don't keep them. So with that video, I know all this stuff is happening, Mr. Jojo, but can you stop this misinformation, man? It's making my job hard. These people are questioning things. You know how they're doing it? They're doing it with TikTok. They're getting TikTok, man, and they're talking to each other, dude. Hey, man, what's TikTok? My asshole hurts. Listen, Joe, you got ban this shit, bro. Call up GG Ping. They're having conversations amongst themselves, and they're coming up with their own conclusions. And you know how that happens. We don't like them thinking. So can we please deploy some of our agents, please, to shut them up? Can you get the guy from the big movie that was saving buildings? And can you get the singer who plays a witch? And can you put them on TV and saying, and make a speech or something? And can you get a couple of gay guys from HGTV to come in and just say, none of this is, hey guys, let's all band together as one and please trust our government, please. Nah, man. I can't even watch that. It just keeps going. So, did you know that 3 fires started right here? 3 fires started simultaneously at the same time in a triangle. How would that happen? Now, the deepest part of that is it's a triangle, and you understand symbolism. But mathematically, a triangle can do a lot of coverage area the way it's set out. And isn't it weird that the drones, some of them that we saw that were the size of cars, also some of them had that triangle light pattern? Am I over the target yet? And what this is satellite right here. This is not anything other than how would that happen? Could they be just the sun is hitting them, or could that be a Dewey? Like just 3 guys are smoking cigarettes in those part of town? Just 3 of them? This was an attack. No, that's not AI, and that's not a model. That is a satellite image. This was a straight up an attack. Yeah, common denominator between all three zones. Way too much dry brush, bad power lines, which also help once it goes to, and that shit runs. There's not one comment that questions this video. Oh, there's a comment that says, and what y'all gonna do about it? Let me tell you what I'm gonna do about it, because I've had a couple people say that to me lately, okay? Right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to use my platform in the most responsible and ethical way, okay? And I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm trying to make it about the collective people. And I'm trying to get the most, what I believe is real information out there. And I want to take things from all walks of life. And, you know, I do use news sources. KCAL has been incredible. I watched KCAL and KTLA, mostly KTLA because that's my home. But I watched a lot of KCAL too. And to me, they were doing the best reporting. Now, are they internet sleuths? Are they TikTokers that get right in there? Are they products of the deep state? You know, the people I know at those stations are amazing people, and they love this state. So they're doing God's work, and they're right in the middle of it. So even if we say big news is organized, they were showing us some amazing stuff. So I don't believe so. I believe that they want the best for us. I really believe that with these stations, these local stations. They were like our family. Now I digress. But what I'm saying is that right there, people say, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm using my platform. But also, the night that Hollywood one happened, the night it happened the first night, because I'm so tired from the holiday and I was getting so caught up in it. All this stuff happening, and we're on the edge of our seat and stuff, and we didn't know, and we've had fires before, but then it became Fire Central, and we started. So the first night, I didn't go out because I had to work the next day, and I wanted to talk about it. So I was up all night watching it, getting information. Then I went on the radio, and I talked about it, I thought, in the most responsible way. And then that day, I started going around, and I started trying to go to Brentwood, and I started trying to go to those places to see what was up, and you couldn't even get close to these places. They were blocking off perimeters from around the city. And then when Hollywood happened, I went out and I said, I want to go. I want to go over there. I got a van. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but if there's a situation and people run, people can jump in the van. Let's get them out of there. And I couldn't even get. I mean, I was at Vine and this shit was happening. You know, past La Brea. People who know this was like by Curson. That was so. Like, you couldn't get really past Vine. Like, a couple streets in every parallel lane was just swamped. And that's why it was scary. So they had to direct traffic to get people out of there and to take the traffic going in and get them out of there. So then I just started reporting from my van from Vine just for people to see it. And because really, if there's people that are watching it that are local, they can get the out. This is what's happening, man. They can't watch their TV. I've gave money to my boy's charity, who's going to get it to the right people. He's very connected to the right people. Started there. But also just in terms of, you know, what's been amazing, the turnout, they're turning people away. They're turning goods away. They're turning volunteers away. That's how many people they have at these different places. So the state is, people are turning out in droves. It's incredible. So I'm trying to use my platform. But give me a fire axe, man. I'm with you. Now, let me explain this to you. I want you to see this one, okay? That has so many levels to it, that clip, okay? Because that's the mall that's like right in the heart of the Palisades. And the guy that developed that mall was a guy by the name of Rick Caruso, who I believe is a native, who is a big developer. I also think he does the Grove and stuff, but I'm not sure. But he makes big ass developments. He is a businessman who's created a lot of wealth for himself and other people, and a lot of things that is used by the California consumer. And he was running for mayor. And then we had Karen, who I don't know enough about, but I believe she was a career politician who come up through the ranks. And then we have a guy that was an outsider that wanted to work for change. Sound familiar? Yeah, you're going to say, oh, maybe he wants tax cuts and incentives. Sure, give it to him if he supplies water, because guess what? This is one of the richest states in the world. This city, this part of the city is one of the richest places in the world. There's no way this should have ever happened because he just proved right there, okay? He went and got his own fire force. And he hired private teams, just like other celebrities, I was told, hire people to protect their assets. And they go in and protect the asset. And he said, this is not burning down. And guess what? He went in and boom, they protected this mall. And everything around it is burnt. Now, I don't know how he got through with all the traffic. Maybe he was prepared before. He said, it could be bad. Get the over there, guys. But he had somebody on deck ready to go, and they did. And our fire department could easily do that because they did do that when they had the right tools, okay? They just didn't have the right tools in time. But when they got them, they're glorious. And all these guys are just privatized, but they all probably worked for the force at one point. They had to have all this knowledge. And then bam. And everything outside of it is burnt. Now, if you want to go conspiracy, you can say that's just amazing. He's good. We hired a lame duck mayor, and we got a smart business guy who showed what he can do. Or you can go conspiracy and say he's a rich guy, and everything's covered in blue roofs, and he's part of it, and they burn everything out, and everything's an act. I mean, that could be true, but, you know, I need the blue roof people to check that. The blue roof shit is real, but I actually don't think that mall is covered in blue roofs. I actually believe Rick.
Dang. And this is for propane?
This is just for propane.
We're going to try and drop some groceries off.
Now, this is just to let you know that FEMA, which has issues, one of the things being one of their volunteers, which I understand it's very hard to get good workers, work for FEMA. And one of the things they did was they avoided going to any houses with a sign because some lunatic got in there and they didn't squash her out. And they went around people that had signs and helped people that had Kamala signs, which I don't know who has them in that part of North Carolina. But hey, you know, what's up? And now you see this video of people waiting in line because they had their own tragedy a few months ago. 3-mile long line waiting for propane because it's cold as there. They don't even have shelter. They don't even have propane. So it's all around.
Started the West Hills fire because that was started at a parking lot. It's going to come over here and light up this area.
Oh my gosh. No, this is crazy. I can't even believe it because I'm like
a 30-year-old guy, you know.
Crazy because I'm
Here's
like,
a blowtorch.
Fire jump literal cities.
I know. I can understand there, but all the way over
exactly.
to West Hills,
that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for letting me know, guys.
Yeah.
So you got arsonists, whether he's a paid agent or a psycho, we'll find out. But there's a lot of arrest happening. But I want to let you know that this thing can be some horrible natural disaster. That's how it started, just a horrible disaster. Then it became a horrible disaster with some charcuterie, and now it's becoming like, oh, this is more charcuterie. And eventually you're going to realize that this was like organized, okay? And that everyone's a player in this game. They didn't start this shit in the summer. Why aren't arsonists out there starting fires in the summer? It doesn't rain then. Now, I've seen this video before. It's incredible. But I want you to look at something. Even if we had these drones, we would need the water. But what's the tech hub of the world? Is it China? Or does China come and try to borrow our secrets? Like, we have the tech hub in the world. We take programmers from China, put them in Stanford. We're the technology kings, okay? Even if China's amazing, they respect the out of us. Look at that. So why doesn't the richest city in the world, one of them, have this technology ready to go when they're in one of the most dangerous parts of the world for certain disasters happening? I'm just asking these questions, guys. Would you pay an extra tax to have that? I would. If I lived there in a $20 million house, if I lived in a camper, I'd pay for this, okay? Because I know I'm in a zone that's a risk, but I get to see all the beauty that God has created, okay? Do you think they have access to the greatest technology in the world? Just UCLA's right over the hill, Pepperdine, USC. Go up the street to Stanford. Come on, man. Why isn't that there? You got to ask yourself.
With all the fires happening in LA right now, I think it's finally time to tell my story of the time that someone from the Air Force came into my club in Las Vegas and told me all about the aliens and how the apocalypse was coming.
Okay, now she's amazing, all right? She's a stripper, and I always tell people, now you think that's crazy, the first line that comes out of her mouth, and you go, oh, she's a stripper, okay? Let me tell you something about strippers, okay? Strippers are velvet therapists. Do you understand? Them, along with hairstylists and bartenders and actual therapists, which people don't tell them everything, they get everyone's secrets and they get everyone's trauma dump. All right. So as a bartender gets so much. Why? Because they're drinking and they get more comfortable. And hey, Louie, let me tell you, wife last week. Well, then because they're opening up. They already are going to a place because they have a little bit of a problem. Okay. Or if it's their watering hole, there's a comfortability there. It doesn't have to be a problem. You trust them. You get your hair done. It's your weekly to a monthly maintenance. They're massaging your scalp. Oh, Barbara, let me tell you what Henry did. You know, it's a comfort. It's intimate. Okay? There's nothing more intimate than a stripper, a lap dance in a private room or in the back part where it's dark. Okay? This is a PhD, what this girl has in people skills and extracting money from rich dudes that are possibly a little too drunk, and just unhappy men in marriages. So you have to be a psychologist if you're a good paper chaser in the club, if you're a pole girl, all right? So I know this. I know that where strip clubs are where the most intimate details of one's life will go because they don't think it's ever going to leave that literal dark room. Now, how do I know this? My friend told me.
So this was around the time there was actually UFO sightings in Vegas. I saw it with my own eyes. There was a UFO hovering over Sapphire, Las Vegas for literally 2 days. If you go on their page, they had videos of it on there. I'm not sure if it's still up.
No, that's 100%. Let's fact check as we go. I already told you my philosophy. It's up to you to believe that. That's 100% true. That was during the pandemic. It was absolutely crazy. It looked like real spaceships were above them. And people were like, what is that, a light? Is that a glow? Is that another Luxor beam? Straight up, people were like, what the is it? And it hovered up there for a while. It was weird. Could have been a drone, sure. But it was up there for 2 days, and everyone was wigged out. And videos kept being taken down. Someone must have it. So that's true.
My ex at the time was trying to convince me that he was half alien and he was supposed to be on the spaceship. So serious. But anyway,
He's probably from North Vegas.
This man from the Air Force came into my club and was telling me so many things. I wrote it all down in my notes, what he was saying, because I didn't want to forget or seem crazy. And he literally...
Okay, so let's just talk about that. The Air Force makes sense. There's 4 armed forces area, 5, actually, if you consider the Coast Guard. The Air Force, it would be very prominent there, which they are. I don't know of other Navy bases or Army bases, probably somewhere out there, maybe Marines, but the Air Force for sure is out there. It's a big presence. And also...
And he literally had tears in his eyes as he was telling me these things. So anyway, he was telling me that he was in training in Vegas at Area 51.
Area 51 is a real place. We know this. We understand you cannot go past a certain point. That's weird. Why can't we know what's going on? Can't go. There's always a lot of rumors, but you can't go. If they're not hiding anything, they would show it to you, right? Right? Open up your DMs to your chick. If you're not hiding anything, right? That's the same thing. The Area 51 is one big DM. They won't let us read it, okay? Also, if you sit at that Dunkin' across from Hofsbrew, you'll literally see the plane once or twice a day with no tail number and the red stripe. That's the Area 51 plane that takes all the workers to Area 51. It's a real place.
And he had seen the aliens with his own eyes. He knew about them already, you know. They were trying to keep it a secret, whatever. But basically he was saying that there was a war that was going to be happening in the next 5 years. And I was...
That was a prediction with a guy. You can look him up and said there was going to be a war in the skies after Rogan and Donald did a podcast.
I was telling him that my plan was to move back to LA, but he said that no, I shouldn't do that because LA and Vegas are both major target points.
Which bums me out because it's 2 of my favorite cities.
So these are the things that I wrote down in my notes while he was talking to me. Aliens are real.
Okay, this girl took notes. You know she's a hustler. She legit is a hustler. I like her. And she's trying not to laugh. Not because she's with us, you could say she is, or that she doesn't want you to think that she's crazy. She straight up took notes. I'm in.
And they're like 3 feet tall and they're gray. They own our planet and have...
So far, 3 feet tall. We all saw that. Gray. We all saw that. They own our planet. Makes sense.
For a long time. And they're basically our landlords. They speak English and can also communicate telepathically.
Never heard the landlord part. Like, you know, we need to talk about some of our life HOAs, but they speak English. We heard the telepathic part, but that's a little racist. They don't speak anything else. They're aliens. They speak telekinetically, but they can't speak French. But they can. Can't they learn French and say it telekinetically? That's a little...
And they really like humans because we're spiritual and also because we get a lot done in our lifetime.
So we're the aliens, worker bees. Makes sense. They got a planet. They own it. They own it. They run it. Let these people know they're doing it. They're building it up. Think they're having a good time, but we're just going to take it from them when it's ready. That's a theory you hear in many alien circles.
So they live simpler lives than us in their spaceships.
Are they Amish?
And it's older technology than what we have.
Let's go through that sentence. They live simpler lives than we do because they live on a spaceship. Old technology. That's where Strippy has a little bit of logic issue. Strip. I like Strip. I love Strip. Strippy dip. But you don't. That's an onomatopoeia. Like you don't. Hey, I got this old technology, something that you never could make. And it's a spaceship, but it's old. I live a much simpler life with my telekinesis and floating craft. How's it old if it hasn't been invented yet?
And basically, they let us kill ourselves off because they're our landlords every so often. They ideally want 500 million people on the planet because it's easier to manage.
Now that checks out with everybody who says NWO and all that stuff. That in the Georgia Guidestones, it also says that. It says that in many things with certain things. Freemasons, they talk about that. 500 million, they keep the most useful. And they always say there's a 90% cleanse happening. I don't know. Has anyone been trying to get rid of us lately?
And it gets crazier than that. He was saying that their feet are really sensitive So they have to stand on wooden planks so that the sand doesn't burn their feet.
What the fuck? You got a spaceship. You got all this technology. You can communicate in telekinesis. You own the planet, but you can only speak English, and you don't like hot sand. So a bunch of aliens are going, hot, 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 hot. Ooh, 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 ooh. Get me to the board. Get me to the boardwalk. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hot, 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 hot. Come on, man. What the I mean, I guess kryptonite everyone's got kryptonite, right? Like Superman got kryptonite. Everyone's got a weak spot. Can't they just wear like Skechers? Like maybe that's their sensitive source of power, but wouldn't they make something to put on their feet?
He also said that they can disguise themselves as big owls. So he said, if I see an owl that's like a larger size than a normal owl, it's probably an alien.
Okay, now see, this story's got a lot in it. Now, some of it you got to question, but come on, man. The big owl, put this video in there. You see this big owl right here? It's a huge owl. Look at an owl. Look at its eyes. It looks like it's looking through you. These owls are insane. And I always said owls are just different. I had one time at a con. I think it was Spookola, and I had this big-ass owl. And I'm like, it was just more than majestic. It was ethereal, beautiful. And its head can go like, but also, what do the supposed elites pray to? A big ass owl. They have an owl worship. Have you ever seen an owl in any celebrities stuff? Have you ever seen an owl? The owl? Have you ever seen an owl anywhere? How'd that person get so rich? Why they got an owl on them? It happened to be rich and happened to be an owl.
And of course, I'm like, oh, where can I find them? Where can I find them? And he said, go north in the mountains. So yeah, basically he was telling me that he was buying property in Joshua Tree because that would be safe. And he was saying, don't go to LA again because it's a major target point. He also suggested that I leave the country. And last thing he said, which was important, is if you start seeing a bunch of military around, it is time to go. And he said, go 50 miles out.
I mean, look, we've had military here before for the Northridge earthquake. We had it here for the riots. We had it for something else. We've had it. This is like the fourth time I've seen it. There's definitely more than just the National Guard down there right now. But the National Guard goes to disaster zones. The Joshua Tree is interesting. It could be a guy that just really wants to take Vegas over for himself in LA, but because I know a couple people that have go to Joshua Tree a lot, and they're interesting people. That's all I'm going to say. And Joshua Tree is in the middle of nowhere, so you think there's nothing, but it's a good escape hatch, and it's flat. I always say get to the desert highlands. Either that or go in the dirt, like where else, but like get to the desert. But Joshua Tree is interesting. I don't know why 50 miles is a good radius, but okay. Listen, we're in insane times. This was a long one, but I needed to do the situation justice. Be safe. Head on a swivel. Let's figure all this out. Peace.